Welcome back to the Switch Sports Golf World Championship. It is now round 3. And we're playing against Chiyu here, who is easily one of the best players in the world. According to my unofficial rankings that I use for seeding in the tournaments that I run, Chiyu is the 5th best player in the world, and I'm considerably behind that, about 15th or so. And we're playing a best of 5 this time around. So the first 2 rounds were a best of 3. The first to 2 wins won the match. This time it's best of 5, so you need 3 wins in order to win. We play random 9 rounds here, so you get 3 par 3s, 3 par 4s, 3 par 5s out of the 21 holes of Switch Sports Golf. And we're getting started here on hole 1. So hole 1 is hole number 1 in this match. We'll see 4 miles an hour, pushing to the right and forward. I'm going to aim just a little bit left, a little less than 2 yards. And hopefully a little less than 3 dots of power is what we need here. We'll send it on its way. It should move right just a little bit. Kick right, it does. It'll roll up, and it will just end up short as Chiyu sinks it. So first hole, 1 make for Chiyu. I leave mine about 3 inches short and have to tap it in for the birdie. So Chiyu's going to take an immediate lead here. 2 under to 1 under through 1. We have 8 more holes left in this game 1 to see if I can even this match back up. Hole 2 is going to be hole number 5 with no wind. And it looks like that back left pin. And there's a way that we want to go about this one. So I want to aim this just right of that big pine tree that's in the middle of the fairway. If you look at that mini map, just right of it, there's plenty of room in the fairway before you reach the rough. That should land just on the shorter side of the fairway. Kick forward. And we'll end up in a good spot here. Chiyu takes roughly the same idea, slightly different spot. 285 yards in. We cannot reach this green in 2 with 0 wind, but we can put it short and try to be directly south of the pin. So I'm aiming this a little to the right, and even though we're going to end up in the rough, it's kind of what I want here. We'll just have to hit this another full-powered shot and probably go 3-iron or 5-iron with the bump and run strategy to try to make this eagle. If we put this in the right spot, we shouldn't have to aim this 3rd shot directionally at all. We should just be able to aim right at it. 45 yards in is what we'll have here. I'm going to club up to... The 3-iron feels like a little bit too much, so we'll go 5-iron. I like using about that first dot of power, and 5-iron looks pretty good for that. So we'll go just over the top of that first dot. Land it just on the shorter side before that mound, hopefully. It should kick just a little bit left, and then back to the right up that mound. We'll send it on its way. It kicks left, rolls up, and sinks it. Chiyu sinks it as well, so a perfect start for Chiyu. I'll match him on this second one. Barely missed the first hole, but I match him there. And it'll be 4 under to 3 under through 2. Chiyu still holding on to that lead. Dueling hole outs for both of us. We'll move on to hole 11 as our 3rd hole, this par 3. We'll have the back left pin and some wind in the face here. I'm going to club up to the spoon. We need to aim this just a little bit to the right. With the spoon, it flies pretty low, and it doesn't have a whole lot of wind effect on it. So I just want to aim this maybe a little bit less than 2 yards to the right. We'll give it just over that 2nd dot of power, plus a little bit extra to make sure we get this up and over that bunker. We'll send it on its way. Oh, Chiyu clipped the bunker and ends up a little bit short. Mine's going to clip off the green, which I wasn't necessarily looking for. I was hoping to land that in the fairway. And because it clips the green, it ends up a little bit long, doesn't have the time to move left on the back of that green that I was hoping to give it. But mine's safe. It's not in the cup, but I have a tap-in birdie. Chiyu has a chip now to save the birdie from short of the green. He'll send it on its way and sink it. So a nice save there for Chiyu, holding on to that 1-shot lead. Difficult hole 11 there. Risky one to use that spoon. I end up a little bit long. Chiyu puts it short, but saves the birdie. And we'll move on to hole 6, which is going to be another 0-wind hole. But that really, really difficult and strange front pin. I'm going to aim this just a tick left. 1 audible tick left. And hopefully this just avoids that tree. Full driver. We're putting it as close to the pine tree as possible without clipping it. I've done that perfectly. And we're going to end up just towards the end of the fairway down here. 122 yards in, and I have such a difficult time actually sinking this shot in competitive mode where the tees are a little bit further back. It is such a strange second shot, and I'd really like to get this one down. So we're going to have to aim this just a touch more than 2 yards left. It seems like a very arbitrary aim point, and I've yet to actually get it, but I'm trying to hone in on it. A little bit more power than the local mode strategy is what we need here. About 2.8 dots of power should send this on a good line. Chiyu sent the shot out there, trickling down. I'm going to send mine on its way. 2.8. Oh, Chiyu's must have hung on the edge and fallen. Wow. Mine doesn't get the kick to the right that I was looking for. Perhaps a little bit mispowered. I'll roll all the way down to the bottom. A little bit too much power on that one. It just goes a little too far for it to get that right kick. And would have had to really smack the pin to have a chance at falling. Chiyu makes it to take a 2-shot lead. I'll sink the birdie, which is typical there on that really difficult pin, but Chiyu with a great shot pushes to 7 under through 4. 3 out of 4 makes so far for Chiyu. I'm at 5 under, 2 shots back with 1 make, which is not bad there, but not enough to catch up with Chiyu here. We'll move on to hole 8, which is going to have some difficult looking 29-mile-an-hour winds, pushing forward and to the left. I'm going to use the 5-iron and just a little bit more than 3 dots of power. Maybe like 3.2 or so is ideal. Aimed out to the right, but not a ton because this is pushing, you know, forward as well. It's diagonal wind, which is kind of weird here. So I'll go just over 3 dots of power. Ooh, I sent it a little bit short. It's going to move left, but that should kick right. Not quite enough to be a make. It'll rip back, though, because I left it on the short side, and it'll trickle down towards the bottom of that green. And I'll have a little bit to think about on this putt here, 14 feet away. It's going to move a little to the right, definitely uphill as well. We'll have to give this just over a dot of power, maybe like 1.2, 1.3 should do it. Chiyu is going to sink it for the hole-in-one through the red wind, 29 miles an hour. I make a good birdie. Chiyu makes a fantastic ace, and he's now 4 for 5 on hole-outs. 9 under through 5, and it has not been easy. Wow, what a shot there from Chiyu. We'll move on to hole 18, and I'm now 3 shots down, despite making one. It's going to be a difficult hole 18 here. 26 miles an hour pushing right. We can't go for that left island. We'll have to go for the right island here. The wind is going to push this significantly. And to give this a chance to reach that green island in 2, I don't think we can reach the green, but we can reach the island if I hit a perfect shot here, which I think I have. That's going to just carry over that little stretch of rough that we have to avoid to have a chance. You'll lose a dot of power if you go into the rough. But since we're in the fairway and pretty close to the rough, we have a great looking line at this one. I'm going to aim it way to the left just because the island juts out short there and we can safely carry... Ooh, I lose a little bit of power, which is actually not really going to matter because I hit a pretty good drive. And we'll launch towards the fairway, so we weren't reaching that green regardless. We'll just send it out this way and we'll have a difficult 31-yard chip incoming here. Wind pushing almost straight to the right. Very, very difficult to avoid that. We're just going to have to send a chip up there and try to get lucky. Pushing right, but not quite enough. A couple inches off on the left side. We'll have to tap up a little 2.5-foot putt straight up the hill, so I gave myself a good look for the birdie. Not always the case. The water is very much in play on this hole, but we avoid that. We'll tap in the birdie. I think Chiyu may have had to go for the 3-island strategy, so from one island to the second, and then hitting it up there. Kind of just a standard green in regulation and tapping in the birdie. But he'll still hold on to that 3-shot lead. 10 under through 7, or excuse me, through 6 for Chiyu. I'll be at 7 under. We'll move on to this hole 3 here, and we're going to have some difficult 11-mile-an-hour winds. And a weird pin, that kind of front middle-ish left pin. There's a bunch of possible pins around that area. But it's the one that's kind of on the slopier part of the green. We'll send a drive out there, safely left of that tree. And we'll have to hit a long 3rd shot in here. I don't think we're going to be able to get very close to this green with all this wind in the face. So we'll just have to send it up through those trees. Kind of just the standard approach, but we're going to end up quite a bit further out than usual. Full driver through the trees, just as far to the right as possible. And we should be able to cut a lot of the directional wind out of this shot if I've put this in a decent spot here, which I think I have. It looks like it's going to be pretty purely upwind, so we don't have to think a whole lot about the wind direction. It's just going to be right in the face. And I'm going to try to send this long with the wedge and use my little rip spin strategy. So if I put this over the top of the pin and rip it back, it kind of slows down by the time it reaches the cup, and it has a pretty good chance of falling. I kind of like this strategy. We'll try it out. We just have to go a little bit left with this pin. That looks good. It should rip back, and I'll sink it. I'll smack the pin and drop it. Now we'll see if that's enough to cut a little bit into Chiyu's lead, and it looks like it will be. Chiyu ends up perhaps going for the 9-iron and kind of drifting just behind the hole. So I'll catch up one shot here, 9 under through 7. I've made 2 hole outs. Chiyu's made 4 though, and we've got 2 holes left, and I have to kind of be perfect from here on out and hope that Chiyu doesn't. We'll have hole 16, no wind, and a pin that's pretty straightforward. So this is one that we can kind of just send through this little shortcut up and over these trees. We just have to aim kind of at the crease between that dark tree and the light tree, and that sends it through all the trees and into the bunker. That's where we'll end up. We'll be 24 yards out here, and we just have to send a wedge up there straight at it. There's no need to adjust this one. We just have to get the power right. A little bit more than a dot and a half is what I want to go for here. We'll send it up there carefully, just trying to bounce it straight. Ooh, it's a little on the short side, and it kicks left because I've left it short. Oh man, I shorted that shot and missed it. Oh, and Chiyu misses it on the right, perhaps with a curve from the bunker there. So 2 missed opportunities for both of us in this game that Chiyu's dominated so far. We'll both have to tap in birdies on a hole where 90% of the time at this tournament level, that's just 2 hole outs on that pin. But wow, both of us miss it, and we'll still have good scores going. 12 under for Chiyu, 10 under for me, heading into hole 17. And if I made that one like I feel like I should have, you know, just a miss hit there, it could be a game again, heading into a hole that's very, very chaotic. But now I have to kind of ace it and hope that Chiyu gets some bad luck. Obviously, I'm not hoping for bad luck for Chiyu, but in terms of winning, that's what I need here. I'm going to club down to the spoon and just hope that this lightly launches up there. Hopefully just catching the fairway, low bounce. Oh, it's going to take a high bounce and not launch. So I'll be in fine shape for the birdie, which is typically what you want here, but I kind of needed that to reach the pin. Didn't happen. No launch on that spoon. We'll have to just aim it a little bit to the right. Chiyu does launch. So had I made the last hole, I could have had a potential 3-shot comeback rolling, but I'll have to tap in the birdie, and Chiyu has all but sealed game 1. 2 shots to win it, and he will sink it on the first anyway, so that kind of makes that last hole a moot point. Chiyu wins it by 2, dominating game 1. A difficult hole 17 and a missed hole 16 was really all that was between him and a 14 under or a 15 under. A great start for Chiyu, taking game 1, 1-0. I must try to equalize here, but I don't lose in this game if I lose this one. It is a best of 3, like I said, so Chiyu or I must win 3 games in order to win. We're going to see 6 miles an hour in the face here on this hole 7, where I want to just hit this hook shot out there. That puts it into a nice spot in this short fairway. 204 yards in. And from here, we'll probably want to use the spoon and try to land it on the green and kick it just a little bit to the right. Have to get the power right here. It's a weird one. 6 miles an hour is kind of just strong enough that we have to think about taking a different strategy than the usual, plus like an extra pixel or 2. We have to put a little bit more on this one. I'm going to call it like 2.2 and hope that that's good. It should get cut down by the wind a little bit. I do want this to carry significantly into the green. Ooh, that's a little bit too much. That's too much into the green. And it's going to clip the flag and kind of launch onto the fringe. So not a great shot, combined with some bad luck. I mean, not terrible luck. Obviously, that probably would have gone pretty close to off the back anyway. But now I'm on the fringe, and I can't use that little power meter and get the help from the gain that it gives you on these putts. We'll have to send a fringe putt up there, and I'll drop it. Okay, so we end up okay. Chiyu bounces one off the short fairway, it looks like, and nearly sinks it. A nice shot there for Chiyu, putting it real close. Tapping in the birdie. No stress there like I had on this first hole of game 2. But we're even. 1 under to 1 under. We'll head to our second hole, which is going to be hole 8 again. Looks like we'll be dealing with this back left pin. 22 miles an hour of wind. I want to club up to the 3-iron here to deal with this one. We'll aim it significantly right. The wind's going to push this way left. And I'll want to go about 3.2, 3.3 on the power here. 3.1 is the typical 0 wind. We'll send it up there. Oh, and that's not enough adjustment. That's going to miss way left and bounce off the green. So on that moundy part of the green, it kicks left and forward rather than the right kick that I was anticipating if I put it closer to the pin. And there's not a lot of green to work with back here, and I put it off the green. I've now missed the green entirely on the first 2 holes of game 2 here. I'm going to have to chip in. Chiyu's got a very straightforward putt once again, right on these pins, and I've been really testing myself to see if I can save it. We'll send this one up there. Oh, and the wind's going to push it again, and the green is not going to make up for it. I thought that would push a little bit more left onto the green, but I'll have to tap a par up there. So my misses have caught up to me. I got away with it on hole 1 here, but on the second hole, hole 8, I do not get away with it, and Chiyu is going to take a lead on my mistake. We'll move on to hole 3. We'll see if I can make that up. Otherwise, I'm going to be in deep trouble here in this match. Hole 3 incoming. 6 miles an hour is what we're going to be dealing with. That front pin, kind of the favorite pin for most players, I think, on this hole 3 green. You get to hit a fun little spin shot at this one on the third one. Difficult to reach this one in 2 unless you get helping wind. That's not the case here. You cannot reach this green in 2 unless you have tailwind. So we'll just have to try to set up the third shot here. I'm going to put this towards the left side of that tree gap, let the wind push it back to the right, and hopefully just end up about 30-ish or so yards out. Chiyu and I end up in roughly the same spot, 29 yards out. Good look there. And now we'll have to think about the wind a little bit. It's going to push it forward, so we have to take a touch of power off this one. We're going to have to aim it a little bit more to the left than we typically would as well. It does slope to the right, so you have to kind of bounce it right. It trickles back to the right. You have to be careful to avoid hitting the pin here. About 2 dots is going to be my shot here, I think, with the backspin. That looks good. It should kick to the right, just behind the pin. It stops, rolls back, and I sink it for the eagle there. A nice shot to make up for that miss, but it looks like Chiyu's made it as well. So a nice shot there for Chiyu. Another dueling hole out. Both of us make it. And it wasn't the easiest of shots there on that hole 3. One of the more doable pins, but 6 miles an hour is a little bit of testing wind. And Chiyu holds on to that lead despite my make. A nice make there for Chiyu as well. And we'll move on to hole 5, which is going to be a similar condition to last time, except it's now 4 miles an hour, pushing forward and to the left. We'll aim it to the left of the tree this time. When you start dealing with tailwind, that rough on the right side of the tree starts coming into play if you hit a full drive. And I want to hit a full drive there, so I'm going to aim it left. We'll actually kind of increase the angle on this second shot to hopefully end up in roughly the same spot where we were last time and just hit that same shot that we made, but adjust for the wind ever so slightly. That should kick off the rough and take just another bounce into the fairway, looking almost identical to the first shot. 43 yards in this time, though, so a little bit closer. I think we'll still want to use the 5-iron. Yeah, we'll have to hit the 5-iron, maybe just a touch less power, and we have to adjust it just a tiny bit to the right to account for this wind. That's going to push it not negligibly left. It's going to be a little bit of wind on this one. We'll chip it up there, same idea, slightly less power, little bit of adjustment. It kicks left, rolls up, and drops. Center cup. Nice one there for the eagle. 2 holeouts in a row. We'll see if my replay can get out of the way in time. And Chiyu sinks it as well. We get a glimpse of Chiyu's make. Dueling holeouts again. Back-to-back makes for us here in this match. Chiyu, as I said, is a very high-level player. We're going to have to make a bunch of shots and then a couple more to beat Chiyu. I think that's now the 3rd time we both hold out from off the green for eagles. We'll move on to hole 16 here, and it's a very different hole 16 from what we saw in the first game. We have to go to that left fairway. There is no making any shortcuts, to my knowledge, with 24 miles an hour of wind pushing in this direction. So we'll just put it out there safely in line with the front part of that bunker. That gives us a good line through the trees here on this second shot. We want to aim this 7-iron significantly left. It's pretty much purely crosswind here. Pushing a little bit forward, so we do have to think about that. Take a touch of power off this one. About 3.5 dots of power should be the ideal distance here. That's going to move up there, kick straight instead of right, and that'll rip back just kind of in the direction it came, missing on the left side. Difficult shot there to try to make the eagle, but we do a pretty good job to put it close. We gave it a chance, just a little bit misadjusted. We'll have to tap a birdie up here. Chiyu is just going to miss it, going for the rollout on the right side. I'll tap in my birdie. Chiyu has a very good look. And he'll send it in for the birdie as well. So birdies for both of us. Chiyu still holding on to that one-shot lead. 4 holes to play here to see if I can equalize or take the lead and not fall into a 2-0 hole, which Chiyu is on the way to send me to. All right, hole 2 coming up here. 9 miles an hour, pushing in the face and also to the right. A lot of diagonal winds in this match so far. We'll have to put a little extra power on this one, aim it a little bit more left. It's this weird back left pin where I want to use the spoon and see if we can just kind of get lucky, get the good bounce and roll. A little bit over the middle of that second dot is where I want to be, towards the top of it. There's the power, just have to get it on the follow through. We do. That's a decent looking line. Chiyu is going to just miss it on the high side. I'm going to miss it a little bit more significantly on the low side. Just a little off with the adjustment there. Pretty good for the power, just not enough. Sideways adjustment, we'll have to tap in the birdie. Chiyu does as well and still holds on to that one-shot lead. So it's going to take a hole out here for me to try to get this lead back. 3 holes left to try to make it happen. Hole 9 is coming up. Wind that is helpful looking, but it's not enough. 4 miles an hour is not going to be enough to get us on that green in 2 and give us a chance at an eagle. We'll just have to send it up there. We'll think about whether we want to send it long on the right side of that water. I think we can make it with this little bit of tailwind, but is it worth it with this pin? I'm not totally sure. I think we'll want to send it short just to be safe. This feels like we're a little bit too far back anyway to think about that water too strongly. Or carrying the water, I mean. We'll just send a little more than a 2-dot driver down there towards the bottom of that fairway. It'll be a decent angle, probably as good of a chance at the hole out as we would have had if we decided to go long and chip it with like the 9-iron or something from a strange angle in the rough. This is a little bit more standard. I actually want to club up to the 5-iron, I think, here. Or maybe we'll stay with the 7-iron and just kind of hope that this 4 miles an hour crosswind is predictable enough. We want to land this just a little bit right of the pin and hope for just luck with the spin. This is a pin that has strange backspin behavior a lot of the time. Sometimes it rips back, sometimes it glides. That's going to take a good-looking bounce. Oh, but it'll glide. And not enough. Chiyu just misses it, going for the roll-up again. We seem to have dueling strategies on a lot of these holes. Chiyu often going for the roll-up, me often trying to find the cup with the backspin. But we'll both tap in birdies, and it's still just my mistake on hole 8. The difference here. 9 under for Chiyu, 8 under for me. Hole out's less abundant, but a little bit more difficult on the seed this time around. A little windier. And we'll be looking at hole 6 here. Front pin, or front right pin, with 22 miles an hour, pushing left and forward. So a lot of diagonal winds. I want to club down to the spoon and be careful with this one, because I've made mistakes with this type of wind before. We want to make sure we put ourselves in a spot where we can get that second shot through the tree gap cleanly without having to curve it like I have in some previous matches. That looks good. That looks perfect. 153 yards in, and even though it's not directly in front of us, we don't want it to be because the wind is going to push this way left. This looks like a good spot to be. We can aim it way right with this wind that's maximally pushing to the left. 22 miles an hour is the strongest you can see. We'll send just a little bit more than 3 dots with some spin up there. That looks pretty good on the line, but a little long. So the wind pushing that a little bit more forward than I anticipated it might will be 13 feet long. Not too bad of an angle here. These slopes on this hole 6 green are quite tough, but this one's not terrible. This is a place that I've been pretty frequently, so we'll just have to send a putt that's a little bit more than a dot up there. We'll sink it. Chiyu is going to miss it on the left side, but a good leave as well. Not too bad of a slope on this putt, and he'll drop it for the birdie. So it'll be dueling birdies again. A lot of difficulty for holeouts in this game too. 8 under for Chiyu, 9 under for me. Just those holeouts on 3 and 5, plus my mistake on hole 8. And I now have to make this shot and hope that Chiyu doesn't on this final hole. I'm going to want to aim this, I think, just a touch right. I've been dealing with misses on this type of look to this pin. It's a very doable pin, but this is a weird wind condition. We have to land this probably just a little bit more than a half yard left. And the wind pushes this a little bit more than you think. So I'm going to go 3.25. Land it just a little bit more than a quarter left. That looks perfect. And that's going to drop back and fall with the spin. A hole-in-one on the final hole. And I absolutely needed it. Chiyu's shot looked like it was a little left. My replay got in the way, and it is a little left. Just off there for Chiyu. He'll tap in the birdie, and I've tied it up. So I made up for my mistake with a nice ace, a clutch ace on hole 9. And I'm going to force a playoff here. So we don't use the closest to pin, like the in-game graphic says. We go straight to just a new seed, a new 9-hole round, and we see who gets a better score first. And that's going to decide game 2. Our first hole here is going to be hole 11 with this front pin and 4 miles an hour of crosswind. We want to aim this just a touch more than 2 yards left. It's not the cleanest of adjustments, kind of like on the last hole. We have to kind of stray from the grid system, I think. We'll send it up there 2 and a little bit more than a half dots of power. It's going to roll back, move left, and barely find the right edge. Wow, what a close call, but it manages to drop for the ace. Chiyu's shot is looking good. It's rolling back, and I didn't see it fall, but the trail looks like it's in the cup. And it is. Chiyu sinks it as well. Dueling aces. Another dueling hole-out situation, and we move on to another playoff. The hole-in-one is not enough to win game 2. We're moving to another hole. Hole 3, 9 miles an hour. Pushing right, in the face as well. Right pin. I didn't put any adjustment on this one because I want this to be in a slightly different spot than the strategies I've been using to this point. I want this to be a little bit on the shorter side. We kind of want to be in the fairway.
Nice shot.
We'll put it towards the left edge of that gap. It should move right and be about 50-something yards out, maybe the high 40s. Somewhere around there is the spot to be. 51 yards. And now we have to think about trying to aim this left enough and bounce it up there. I like using the roll-up in this type of situation. A little bit more than 3 squares, 3 yards left is what I'm going for here. 9 miles an hour of pure crosswind from this spot. And I want to put just a little bit less than 3.5 dots of power. This should bounce and roll a little bit, but not a ton. It's slightly uphill. We'll send the shot on its way.
Nice shot.
3.4 dots of power, not quite moving enough with the wind. I'm going to leave it just on the left side, a foot to the left. Then I'll have to tap it in for the birdie, and it's now up to Chiyu to see if he can seal game 2, and it's just a little short with the spin. So Chiyu taps in for the birdie, and we move on to a hole 2 with no wind. And I have a tee position with this weird back left pin that I'm actually quite familiar with. I know from this spot that a full 7-iron should do it. As long as I hit the full 7-iron, it should clip the fringe, kick left, bounce left, and drop. So I get it to fall with a good tee spot, and it looks like Chiyu went for the same thing, but that right tee spot just doesn't kick left enough, perhaps an inch closer, and it lips out. And that's going to be the game. So I'll take game 2 on some tee position luck. I've evened the match back up. And we now move on to game 3. Hole 17 to start here. 1-1 match. Evened it back up despite being down for most of that game 2. I win the playoff. And we'll now move on to a fresh game 3. Hole 17 with 11 miles an hour pushing right. I want to aim this a good amount left. It's pretty strong crosswind here. I'll hit the full driver, hoping that this just kind of bounces up there with a nice kick, a good high kick. Oh, that looks really good. And I'll drop it for the ace. On hole 17, I make an ace, which is so rare. I had a good idea of the adjustment that was needed there, but it was perfect. I wasn't quite anticipating making the ace. I was just hoping that wouldn't launch. And it didn't, and it found the cup. Chiyu ends up a little bit short, perhaps taking some of the power off that drive to be a little safer with it. But my ace is going to take a lead. 2 under to 1 under. I'm in the lead in this match. And we're now going to play hole 1 as our second hole of game 3. 6 miles an hour, pushing to the right and in the face as well. Another diagonal wind situation. We'll send it down to wherever it ends up in the fairway. That looks like a pretty decent spot to be, and we'll probably have to use the 7-iron with this back pin. The back left pin is an interesting one here. We kind of have to hit a weird adjustment. I'm going to zoom in and aim it just a little more than 2 yards left. It's level 3 wind, but it's diagonal, and we're kind of cutting it down a little bit. We're not purely south of the pin. So I'm thinking a little bit less than a yard per level of wind left is where we'll end up. The green should kick this a little left as well. So we'll send a shot up there a little bit more than 3 dots of power. It's a downhill shot, so it should fly a little bit further than it looks like it should. Looking decent, but moving left and lipping on the left side. A little bit too much adjustment. 2.5, just a touch too much, and Chiyu makes it. Center cup, great shot there to equalize on hole 2. So I make a pretty lucky ace on hole 17. Chiyu drops a great hole 1 eagle to equalize this match. 3 under for both of us through 2. We'll move on to hole 3, which is going to have 6 mile an hour winds. And that front pin again. That nice front pin. A little bit more difficult on the wind this time around. 6 miles an hour means you have to think about it just a little bit. We'll send a nice drive up there. Kind of collecting towards the ravine in that fairway. And I may actually want to give this a chance at getting to the green in 2. I'm not totally sure it can. But if we aim it a little bit extra to the left, and yeah, that power meter looks like it gets pretty close. So if we aim this a little extra left and go for the fade, it might get us pretty close. And it's not the worst miss, even if we don't make it. Okay, that's going to end up in the bunker anyway. Didn't fight the wind enough, and it doesn't launch. So we kind of end up in a fine spot. That's not exactly what I was going for, but it's a fine miss. And we'll want to aim this one. We're a little bit too close for comfort here. 22 yards is kind of weirdly close. We'll probably still want to go pin high. The wind in the face a little bit. I was thinking about aiming right at it, but I think that may actually be the 9 mile an hour way to do it. 6 miles an hour, we have to aim just a touch left. We'll send the pin high shot up there with the spin. That looks good, and it'll find the left side of the cup and drop again. So I've been making the shots on hole 3. And Chiyu sinks it as well. So another dueling hole out. Another one that's just a little bit of wind to make it a difficult shot. And we both make it anyway. Wow, I cannot take a lead on Chiyu and keep it. Chiyu just keeps making shots. I've made a couple more than I usually do as well. But this is, like I said, a high-level game. They've all been high-level games to this point. But a lot of made shots on these front 9 par 5s. Through some wind. We'll move on to hole 12. So it's still an even match. You can't get too excited about a make because Chiyu's going to come back and match you. Chiyu manages to avoid the rough on the drive. So he'll be a bit closer. It's not the most advantageous thing. We can still just put a little extra power here. We'll have to aim it a little bit to the right. It should kick right off the short fairway that I'm trying to hit. So I want to bounce this. Can't use spin with the spoon, so we just have to roll it up there. It should kick right off that short fairway. Hopefully this allows it to push left just enough without overdoing it or underdoing it. That looks decent, but it might kick, and it does kick too far right. So it kicks about a yard too far right, perhaps a little bit too much power as well, but you do have to make sure you carry that bunker. Obviously, 10 feet long is much, much better than 20 yards short in that bunker. So we'll take the near miss there, just a little off. We'll tap in the eagle. Let's see where Chiyu goes. It's going to bounce and end up a little long, so Chiyu cuts it a little bit too much on the power. But it's an eagle on the scorecard for both of us. It doesn't matter how far away you are. There's no points for being closer. And it's still an even match. 7 under through 4 for both of us. 3 eagles on the scorecard. We'll move on to hole 19 with no wind. Now, what pin are we dealing with? The back left pin. I'm not totally sure I know how to make this with no wind. I just kind of want to play this one safe, I think. I'm going to put this short of the water.
Nice shot.
Obviously. You can't carry the water without helping tailwind, but we'll just be nice and safely short. Plenty of room towards the end of that fairway. We don't really gain too much from being super far down. But Chiyu ends up down there, so he'll have a better look at it than I do. I can't quite reach it, I think, with the 3-iron spin, so I'm going to use the rollout with the 3-iron. It's going to land short, but avoid the fringe, which is great, because that probably launches off the back of the green if it hits the fringe. We land it short in the rough, which kicks it left. I was anticipating that might hit the green and kick right, but this is kind of fine. Neither of us make it. It's obviously, despite being 0 wind, it's a special hole, so it's one of the more difficult ones in this game, and having a straightforward birdie look is about all I wanted there. Chiyu is going to send it through the side hill and sink a nice birdie there, so through 5 will both be at a nice 8 under. Hole outs have been abundant in this one. They haven't been easy, but both of us have matched each other to this point, and we'll now be looking at hole 4. 9 miles an hour in the face, pushing a little right, another diagonal wind condition. How do we want to handle this one? We have to aim it just a little bit extra to the left. I think that looks good. And we have to put a little extra power on it, but we don't want to overdo it. There's always the risk of if you put it a little bit too far, it launches. Let's see if that's enough. Bottom area of that 3rd dot. Okay, I shorted it a little bit. And that is going to land short and not quite make it. So it actually landed on exactly the line that I wanted, but because it was a little short, it kicked too far. Didn't quite make it up there. And we'll have to tap in the birdie. And we'll see. That one was fairly predictable. Chiyu's going to send it up, and looks like about the same situation as me. Not wanting to overdo it and possibly launch. So we'll both end up a little short. We'll tap in birdies. 9 under through 6 for both of us. Even match, 1-1, 9 under, 9 under. Heading into hole 8 here. Let's see if I can handle this back left pin better this time around. Different wind, lighter wind, but we'll have to account for it more than I did last time. We'll aim it left this time since the wind is pushing diagonally to the right. About to there should be halfway decent. We'll send it up there with the 3-iron again. Hopefully just clipping the right part of that mound rather than, well, the left part of it and also the wrong part of it this time around. Just under 3 dots of power is what we'll use. It's going to kick too far right, so a little bit underpowered perhaps, but it's fine. Difficult make there. Any make is pretty difficult with wind on hole 8. We'll send a putt up there. Kind of scary, but we'll drop it. A birdie on hole 8, not bad at all. Chiyu looks like he ended up in the same spot and drops it as well. So birdies for both of us. 7 holes in, no lead yet. I took a lead. Chiyu balanced the match right back. 10 under through 7. We'll move on to hole 8, which is going to be hole number 21, a difficult par 4. And a pin that is not one of the bad ones. Okay. Whenever you see the back left part of that green, there's one pin that is pretty evil back there, but it's not it. It's towards the bottom of the green.
Nice shot.
Kind of in a fine spot to hit the shot that just kind of collects down to the bottom of the green. We'll put not enough adjustment on that drive. So 20 miles an hour on basically hitting off a cliff flies quite far left. We're fine though. We're in the rough, but it's not the end of the world. We can just hit a little bit less than a 3-dot shot with the clubbed up 5-iron. That looks decent, but it's going to move too far left unless it glides, which it doesn't. It takes that little second bounce and bites rather than gliding off the first bounce and trickling back down. That happens pretty commonly. We'll end up, what is this, about 10 feet short. It's going to move a good amount right, but I don't want to overdo it. I've overdone it in recent memory, and you miss it, and it's not a fun thing to do, so we'll just aim it left enough, make sure we hit enough power, it's slightly uphill, sneaky uphill, and we'll drop it. Tough birdie there, special hole, you have to think about that putt quite a bit. Chiyu is going to drop it as well, so another side hill putt, sunk for Chiyu. 11 under through 8 for both of us. Heading into the final hole, and this is a huge one. If one of us can take a lead, it'll be the lead in this match. And it is kind of that playoff situation again. The next one of us to score better is going to take the match. Or is going to take the game, I mean. It's a best of 5. 22 miles an hour. Hole 18. Another difficult hole 18 where we cannot go for that left island. We're going to have to send a perfect drive down there. And that looks pretty good. I think that's a little bit too far to the right to think about being real close on the green. We'll send a drive up there, and yeah, just a little bit too far right off that drive to really try to glide a launch shot up there. So we'll have to aim it. I kind of want to aim this a little left even to see if we can just find the short part of that green.
Nice shot.
Is that enough? It's going to clip the rough, which I need it to launch, and it'll launch. Oh, but it's going to be short. Okay, so we weren't reaching that green, kind of regardless. Even if I managed to put it probably in the perfect spot, it probably would not have made it. So now we'll have a difficult chip to think about. I haven't really taken the wind out of the chip like I maybe should have. Chiyu has. So Chiyu's got a good look here. This is going to move right with the wind and a little right with the green slope as well. This one's difficult, and it's a huge one. If we make this, it's almost a must make. A little bit over a dot of power. Rolling up there. Moving right and finding it perfectly. A chip that was quite difficult to judge, but we find the cup, make the eagle, and Chiyu drops it as well. 2 chip-ins from off the green through the 22-mile-an-hour wind and the slope of the green on that hole 18, and it's going to be 13 under for both of us through 9. Tied again. So we'll move on to a playoff. No closest to pin, just the playoff. The next person to score better is going to win game 3 and take the lead in the match. And we have a 0 wind hole 14 with the back right pin to deal with.
Nice shot.
I'm calling it the back right. From the angle of the tee, it's kind of the short right pin or the middle right pin, but by the time we're hitting this shot, it's kind of the back right pin. Let's see if we can sink this one. There's a way to go about it. It's a shot that I've made a good amount. It's a shot that I've missed a good amount. We have to aim it just a half yard right. Right about there is perfect. And now we must get the power perfect. Just over 3.5 is what we need. Like 3.6-ish on this power meter. Should be perfect to land it on the right side.
Nice shot.
Bounce it around the pin. Pull it back with the spin. That looks good. It's rolling back, and it will not fall. 0.1 feet, and it looks like it kind of clipped into the lip, which it does when you're like a pixel from dropping the shot. Oh man, and Chiyu lipped it as well. 2 robs on that hole 14. 0.1 for me, a lip on the right side for Chiyu on one that we were both probably thinking we were going to make. And we move on to a second playoff hole. Both of us kind of kicking ourselves probably, but both of us also at the same time breathing a sigh of relief. Let's see what happens here. Hole 15, front right pin, 11 miles an hour. We have to aim this a yard left to start, and then with the 9-iron and the spin, probably about a yard per level of wind. We'll aim it to there. We'll try to land it about pin high and glide it back. This is a glide backspin situation. Just under full power with the spin. That's the shot I wanted. Looking great. Sneaking around, ripping back, and lipping. And missing again. Oh man, back-to-back holes where it found well more than half the cup and didn't end up at the bottom of the cup. Chiyu just misses it as well, going for the roll-up. We'll move on to our third playoff hole. I've had two very close calls. Chiyu's had a close call and a good shot on that hole 15 as well that didn't find the cup. Wow, this playoff continuing despite some really, really close calls for both of us. We've got another look here at hole 2, back left pin. Just under that second dot is where I want to hit that. That's the exact shot I wanted. It should move right on the green. Oh, but not enough. It barely registers the lip. It didn't really lip, but you could see that it kind of made contact with it. It had that little dust cloud, it looks like, that explodes off of it when you just lip. Oh, another close call. Not as close as the last two, but man, 3 holes, and I have sniffed the cup on all of them. Here's a difficult hole 20. Left to right wind is one of the more difficult situations in this entire game on this hole, but we do the right thing. You have to hit that hook shot and launch. Off of one bounce, you have to glide to be clear of that tree, and we do. We get around it, and now we have a look. A clean look at the green, and a situation that is so, so difficult to actually even have an angle. Okay. Almost pure tailwind here. It should push a little right. That's taking a decent line. Oh, but it kicks forward and glides. Oh, I hit the wrong part of the green. A little longer, and that's probably fine. If that's shorter and short of the green, it probably bounces high and rolls back. Oh, but I just clipped the downslope and end up 25 feet long. No spin back. And I now have a tough double breaker. I'll send it up there. It moves left and lips. Oh, just too much power on it. Maybe a little bit too much adjustment on the right side. And it lips, and Chiyu's hit a great shot. Number 1, to get clear of that tree and the rocks on the first shot is a challenge in itself. You must hit the perfect hook shot. And then to judge that wind, it looked like Chiyu landed it short of the green. Pulled it back with the spin, and now has a great look at taking game 3, and he does. So, oh, some tough luck for me on all 4 of those, but Chiyu with a great hole 20 to put it really close and drop a difficult birdie. Earns game 3. And we move on to game 4. I'm down again. 2-1. Chiyu's in the lead. If Chiyu wins game 4, Chiyu will win the match. If I win it, I'll equalize. Hole 4 is going to be our first hole here. 6 miles an hour of crosswind. Front right pin. Gotta aim it right with this crosswind, and it should move left a decent amount. That looks decent, maybe a little bit too far right. It's going to rip back, and I'll lip another one. That one didn't look nearly as promising as some of the previous ones, but once again a lip. And we'll have to tap in a birdie. Chiyu with a nice approach as well. We'll both put it right around the cup. I'll tap in the birdie. Chiyu will tap it in as well. Okay, so birdies for both of us through 1. Man, oh man, I must win this game to keep this match alive. Hole 2 is going to be hole number 9. Crosswind, back left pin, difficult situation here. 17 miles an hour of crosswind, so some moderate winds to think about. I'll want to aim this right just to try to end up in the middle of that fairway and hit maybe that hook shot
Nice shot.
under the trees. That looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit too close to the right side for comfort, but it's fine. We'll have a good look with the hook shot. And actually probably a good angle as well. So I want this to be more towards the left side. If I aim it close to that tree and hook it, it should carry that bunker no problem. And kind of just collect down to the bottom of that hill. The rough is fine because I want to club up anyway. We'll do exactly that. So we'll be pretty close here with a nice angle on the left side. 120 yards in. 3 iron looking good. About 2.5 is fine for the power. We still have to aim it a decent amount to the right, despite the club up. It's going to kick left. I want this to kind of glide to a stop by the pin, though, and see if we can just get lucky. We'll send the shot up there, a little bit less than 2.5 dots of power. That should take a big bounce off the flatter part of that green, kick a little left. Oh, and just miss. Another close call,
Nice approach.
but we're 5 feet away with a fine angle. Obviously a little bit scary, but it's always going to be a little scary with this pin. Better than the short ones, in my opinion. We'll just tap that little putt down there.
Nice birdie.
Sink the birdie. Chiyu's ended up a little bit further away, but with a nice straight uphill putt. And he'll drop it for the birdie. Birdies for both of us through 2. Game 4 underway. No lead yet. 7 holes to play. Hole 3 is going to be hole number 15. A par 4. Another try at this one. Looking a little bit windier and a little bit weirder. Front pin, but wind that's going to cause us to hit a longer shot into this green.
Nice shot.
We'll aim it right. We'll kind of end up in the middle of the fairway, which is maybe not ideal, but it's okay. Not a whole lot you can do to put it real close in this situation. 118 yards with that wind still in the face. I see Chiyu way off to the right side of my screen, perhaps in a better looking spot. How much is this going to move left in the air with this weird diagonal? I'm thinking if I club up not a ton, we'll send it a little long and try to avoid that glide spin, see if we can rip it back. Oh, and it moves too much. Okay, so it does move quite a bit, despite being diagonal wind with that 22 miles an hour. And we'll miss it pretty considerably to the left. Chiyu going for the roll-up misses it to the right, and we'll both have little side hill putts. Not too bad, though. Just have to aim it outside that left edge. Let the slope take it. Drop it for the birdie. We'll watch Chiyu's putt, and he'll drop it as well. Okay, so birdies for both of us. Difficult hole 15 there. Kind of just a birdie situation unless one of us got lucky. 3 holes, 3 birdies. We've had some games where hole outs have been so abundant, and other games where they've been a little bit tougher. We'll have hole 11, this par 3. The back left pin again. But this time, it's tailwind. And that throws a wrench in the plans for me. I don't want to use the spoon just because of that risk of launching. You can put it too far anyway. In this situation, I kind of like the idea of the 3-iron backspin. It's not the most common play. Oh, it's going to move too far right, though. Okay, so a little bit of a misjudgment on the wind. Despite it looking pretty strongly tailwind. Oh, wow. Chiyu sinks it with the spoon, carrying that bunker, not launching, and getting the perfect line on it, dropping the ace to take a really big lead. That is a huge make for Chiyu, already up in the match and now taking a lead here in Game 4. 5 under to 4 under. Here is the hole out that Chiyu has made so often. It appears in Game 4. Took 4 holes to happen. I think that's the longest it's taken this far. But wow, what a nice ace there. 9 miles an hour is a good amount of wind. That's second to maximum wind on hole 11. And not the easiest of pins with that sort of wind. Great ace to Chiyu. We'll move on to hole 3. I now have to make a shot to try to catch back up. Hole 3, 2 miles an hour is a good make opportunity, kind of regardless of the pin with the exception of that back left. But we have this nice front pin again. 2 miles an hour is what we're dealing with. We'll send a good shot up there just left of that tree, avoiding it, taking a bounce, and stopping nicely towards the back of that bunker, which is ideal. 26 yards out is a fine distance. Oh, Chiyu's ended up quite close. Perhaps, I mean, I hit 2 full drives on kind of the maximum line. Did Chiyu bunker launch? Which can happen if you like just catch the front edge and you get a weird kind of angle a little bit shorter. I have a pretty straightforward one. I just have to aim it a little bit off of the 0 wind strategy. We'll send it up there, bounce it around the pin, rip it back, and we'll drop it. A pretty standard strategy there for the eagle. We'll see if Chiyu can make it from that weird spot. Oh, and he clips the pin and launches. Oh, Chiyu getting a bit unlucky there. Ending up too close with a weird angle. And he has to tap in the birdie. So I'll equalize this game with a hole out on hole 3. I think that's the 3rd or 4th time I've holed out on hole 3. That front pin is a nice one, though. We'll move on to hole 7. Even game. I'll want to hit this hook shot out there and just put it towards the middle of that fairway. 2 miles an hour and a pin that I'll want to use the roll-up to get to with the 3-iron. We want to land this one just short of the green. Bounce it up there. It should move a little left on the green. It's going to move a good amount right in the air. It's only 2 miles an hour, but we have to use the 3-iron and most of it. Yeah, like 3.3, 3.4 dots of power. So it's a long shot. The wind's going to move this quite a bit.
Nice shot.
It's on its way. That's the exact shot I wanted. Kicking off a good-looking spot, moving left and finding the center of the pin and dropping for the eagle. Chiyu's shot lips out on the left side. And Chiyu's going to have to tap in a birdie, and I'll make back-to-back hole-outs and come back in this match from 1 shot down to now be 1 shot up. So I make up 2 shots. Hole 3 and hole 7, holing out. And now we're looking at yet another difficult hole 18. This time we can go for that left island. It's not as difficult as the 2 previous ones that we've seen, but it's still a very precise drive that we must get perfectly. And I do. Okay, so I just carry that water. I get the adjustment right and end up nicely in the fairway. Chiyu ends up right next to me, so 2 nice shots there. On ones that are not guaranteed, if you mess up just a little bit, you can end up in the rough or clipping the rocks or in trouble. Neither of us do. And I'll hit a shot here with a 3-iron, a little bit of extra power because we have to deal with that headwind, and I'll just miss it on the right side. A decent look at that albatross, and I gave it a run. I'll tap it in for the birdie. Chiyu perhaps hit the rough and ended up short, but he'll sink it from off the green. A nice putt. And that had to be adjusted. It was going to move a little bit to the right, and Chiyu saw that, dropping it for the eagle to remain just 1 shot back in striking distance. And here we go with hole 8 again. It is once again that back left pin in a very, very similar situation as last time. Last time I missed this just right, and it was 11 miles an hour. I aimed it just on the green on the left side, so with a little bit more wind and with the adjustment for the last miss, I'm going to aim it just off the green and hope that that's a decent adjustment. We'll send it up there, roughly the same power, and it's, just off the short part of that mound, not kicking right, and it ends up a little bit short. Oh man, that couldn't have been too far off, despite it ending up a couple feet off. It was really the kick that made the difference there, and it couldn't have been too far off from the right spot. Maybe a little bit weird to use the iron there, a little inconsistent. We've seen Chiyu go for the spoon, I think, twice. Maybe that's the way to go. I know that's a common strategy. I like using the iron on those back pins just because it's a little bit more consistent through the wind to put it pretty close. But I still hold on to this lead. Okay, 1 shot lead, holding on to it. And we have maximum wind and maximum distance. That pin that's all the way on the back of this weird hole 21 green. A special hole and a windy one to finish off game 4. We'll send a drive down there. We can reach the fairway, which is well designed by this game. You can still reach the fairway with this maximum wind. And I want to play this one safe. I really don't want to end up off the green, which is a possibility. I don't quite know how much the wind's going to knock this down. I'm going to aim it left and pin high, just because everything collects to the right. If it's not perfect, it's still fine. Yeah, and that's going to be pretty good, but it's safe. I'm not in the fringe. I'm not in the rough that juts out to the middle of that green. I'm just fine on the green. Chiyu is going to end up in a similar spot. If Chiyu made that, that would have been a fantastic shot to equalize the match. And I was kind of just playing it safe and saying if Chiyu were to make that, he probably deserves to send this to a playoff. We both sink birdies. We both take good approaches there, just short of that difficult hole 21 pin. And I'll take game 4 to equalize the match. A huge game there. It's been back and forth. We've seen a lot of hole-outs. We've seen a lot of dueling hole-outs. Both of us probably thinking we've done enough to take leads. And we kind of haven't. Chiyu dominated game 1, but after that, it's been very back and forth. Just a couple of shots making the difference, and a lot of holeouts that have not made a difference in this match. Here's game 5. Here is the deciding match. Whoever wins this one wins the match. I think this may be the first game in this round. It's the second game in this round in total, but the first game to go all the way to game 5. And I've gone the distance in every single match so far. I tend to do that. These have been quite exciting. It would be nice to not make the mistakes that have caused me to, or forced me to make some comebacks and equalize matches instead of taking leads. Obviously, Chiyu's made some great shots and dominating game 1, making a bunch of shots in game 2. It took an extra lucky shot in a couple of those games from me to just keep this match even. And here we are, first hole of game 5. The pressure is on. What are we working with here? Diagonal wind with the angle I've given myself up and over that tree. We have to put just a little bit of extra on it. Hopefully it moves left enough. Oh, it lands left, but not far enough left. I think it'll rip back, and yeah, that slope pushes it to the right. Just a little bit off on the adjustment there. A difficult one to read with the wind in the face, slightly pushing it left as well. Just overdone, and I must say I was thinking back to that hole 15 with 22 miles an hour that I really under-adjusted. Just a little bit too much on that one, adjustment-wise, and it's birdies for both of us. So we'll move on to hole 2, and it's hole 17 again in this match. And this one looks pretty difficult. Game 5 with a 26 mile an hour headwind, hole 17, a poetic situation. I think we can put this one on the green, but on the right side. So I can't quite go for the pin, but if I hit this to the right, it may launch up there. I'm going to try for it, because I'd much rather have a long putt than any sort of chip through this wind. It's going to bounce up there. Oh, but it's not going to reach. Oh, it doesn't launch, and it ends up a touch short on the fringe, and I don't think I can putt this. I don't think it's worth putting this. When we both end up short, kind of forced to chip. Not really punished for my strategy, but it didn't quite work out as nicely as I was hoping. Let's send it through the wind. It's going to kick a little left on that green. Oh, and I didn't quite account for the wind enough or the kick enough. It's a difficult one, and I have to tap in the par. Chiyu sends it up and drops it inside the right edge. A fantastic chip through that wind with that little bit of slope on the green to account for a great shot from Chiyu to take a lead on hole 2. We're going to move on to hole 20 here, a special hole once again in this match. 4 miles an hour. Much better than last time in terms of ease of birdie, but we'll see if we can maybe hole out. I actually really like this situation. In the specials arcade tournament that I recently did, I got a lot of practice on these special holes, and I kind of know what the crosswind shot has to be here. We just have to land it a yard left and then 2 yards right per level of wind. So 4 miles an hour is level 2 wind. It's 2 meters per second. So we'll aim it 3 yards right. So 1 left for the initial adjustment, 4 right. And we just have to land this a little bit short, ideally on the fringe, and it should kick up and roll back softly. Is that good? No, it clips the green and doesn't kick right. It kicks forward and rips back, and I'm not going to say it was necessarily going to be a make if I put it a little bit shorter, but it would have been a whole lot better than that. Would have been a nice close call at the very least, and we'll have to tap a birdie down there. Oh, Chiyu hits the flag and bounces out. So 2 close calls. Mine in terms of the initial landing spot and not necessarily in terms of the result. Chiyu most definitely in terms of the result, hitting the flag and not dropping it, launching off to the side. Both tapping in birdies though, so I'm still just 1 shot down, but I have to make that shot up at some point to have a chance at the win. 2 miles an hour pushing left here on hole 2. Middle left pin. I put it on the short side a little bit. Not quite the power I was hoping for, but it may be okay. It's going to sneak around. That looks good. It'll rip back and I'll sink it. I'll sink it for the hole-in-one. Can Chiyu match it? Through the lighter wind situation, Chiyu sends it long. And when it clips that fringe, it doesn't roll all the way back. Just a little long for Chiyu. And he'll tap in the birdie, and I'll equalize the match. 4 holes in, 5 under for both of us. 4 under for both of us, excuse me. 1 hole out and 1 par for me. 4 birdies for Chiyu. Hole 3. 0 miles an hour. Back right pin. I'm going to send this one just straight ahead. No adjustment on my shot. There's a strategy I want to use here that's similar to that right pin that I've done a couple times in this match so far, sending it just off to this left part of the fairway, and then just straight through the trees. There's a very slim line between them, but because there's no wind, it's pretty easy to hit as long as we aim in the right spot. That looks good. And we're aimed in the right spot. We make it through the trees, and that will... Oh, it's going to launch. Oh, that doesn't usually launch, but I must have ended up just a little bit too far left, and I launch to an unfamiliar spot. 42 yards in. And despite this being the back right pin, this now looks a lot like the middle right pin. So I'm going to use that pin strategy. It doesn't usually work here. The wedge doesn't usually reach, but because I launched, we're closer, and it looks like it reaches. It's going to kick a little to the right because of the angle, the weird angle that I'm at now. Let's see if we can bounce this one up and in. Chiyu's shot is going to sink, so I now must make this. Using a weird strategy for this pin, it bounces and finds it. It kicks just a little to the right, and one bounces into the cup, and we dual hole outs again on hole 3. I'm losing track of how many times we've both now holed out from off the green for eagles, but it's been a lot. And it was necessary there for both of us to hold on to this match. 4 holes to play. And we're now moving on to hole 7, 6 miles an hour in the face. Similar to that first one that we saw, except a different pin this time around. So we're dealing with the back left pin rather than the middle pin. And in this situation, with a little bit of headwind, I like going for the driver. The spoon tends to not reach when you have to land it on the shorter side in the rough, and the spoon often doesn't get the rollout. The driver flies a little further, gets the rollout a lot of the time, so that's what I'm going to go for. We're going to go driver here. It's a downhill shot. The wind isn't going to affect it all that much, so if we kind of aim it at the front of the island, it should carry all the way there. Oh, that looks weird. And it clips the rock and finds the water. This is one of those matches that I played quite early in the morning, so I'm voicing it over after the fact. So I've had time to review what happened there. And that was a power glitch, which I've only encountered a couple of times. It's a known thing in this game. It happened in the World Cup for me, and it now happened there, where if you look back at the replay, when I club up to the driver, my character becomes substantially larger, and that's kind of an indication that it's going to happen. I didn't catch it live, and I shorted that shot because the power glitch sends your shot well short or long of the power that you actually gave it. I'll have to make a bogey, and I'm now 2 shots down. Chiyu with a nice birdie there, putting it on the green, tapping it in, and I power glitch to end up 2 shots back. It's something that's possibly avoidable. Another part of that is that I didn't zoom out on the minimap before I hit the shot, as I now red bar the next drive. I didn't zoom out on the minimap, which is apparently something that helps to avoid that. It's a pretty good way to avoid it, not 100%, I don't think. My character did become massive, if you look back at that replay. Like, when I clubbed up from the spoon to the driver, my character became huge. When I swung back, my driver actually overlapped with the power meter, which it never does on any shot. Like, if I hit this shot here with the spoon, and I'm actually like addressing the ball, it will not come even close to the power meter. So like there, and then it's not even close. My driver overlapped with the power meter, and I didn't catch it. We have 0 wind here, and despite the red bar, I'm still in a fine spot with a good distance, and it'll lip out. So the red bar puts me at a different angle. It didn't make too much of a difference. Oh, and I miss that one there, and being 2 shots down in a tournament match in the 3rd round is not going to be very easy to come back from. That one would have been a nice one to make had I made it, but just a little bit off. Lipped it out. 6 under for me, 8 under for Chiyu, and we'll move on to hole 8. 2 shots down, 2 holes to play, and we're going to be dealing with 22 miles an hour of wind. Middle pin, not a bad pin at all in this game in terms of putting this one pretty close and maybe trying to get lucky for an ace, which is kind of what I have to do at this point. I will hit the 5-iron similar to that front pin, but a little bit more power because it's the middle pin. So like 3.25 dots of power. It'll take a good looking landing off that flat area, roll back, and because of that tailwind, not quite make it all the way. So we'll be 4 feet short, or excuse me, 6 feet short on the rollback. I'll tap it in for the birdie. Chiyu is going to land it in about the same spot, rip it back, and also be about 6 feet short. So he'll... Oh, a micro putt for Chiyu. What a strange Game 5 this turned out to be. Chiyu was aimed well outside the hole, and the ball just didn't make it there. Like, he did what you have to do to avoid that putt, or to avoid that putt missing in that way, and it still ended up on the short side. You almost get punished for being a little bit too close to the hole on hole 8 quite often, and in a number of other situations. What a strange Game 5. A power glitch followed by a micro putt. And it now comes down to this. So, I mean, if I can make this in 3, we can't reach this green in 2. If I can make this, and obviously if Chiyu does not make it, I can even this match back up despite all the weirdness. It's 17 miles an hour of crosswind. We're quite a ways out because it's a little bit of headwind as well by the time we get to this angle. Let's see if we can make this 9-iron, a little bit more than pin high. Hopefully just glide spinning it. It's going to move a good amount to the left. 2.6-ish dots of power is what I want to put on this. We'll see if we can rattle one home in a weird way. Back right pin in a difficult one. Looking quite good. Gliding. Oh, but it's just a little bit too far to the left. Gliding back to 5 feet, just a little bit under adjusted, and Chiyu has hit the flag and dropped it for the eagle. What a shot from Chiyu, and he'll win the match by 2 strokes. But even if I account for my birdie on that power glitch and I give that birdie back to Chiyu on the micro putt, it kind of all evens out. Chiyu hits that shot to make that game a no-doubter. 10 under to 8 under. Chiyu wins by 2, wins by 1 if we account for all the weirdness. What a great match. Great game to Chiyu. So many hole-outs. I hope you've enjoyed watching. That'll be the end of this tournament for me, but I'll be back with some more Switch Sports Golf soon.